Hey, yo, what's up, YouTube, man? It's your boy, Ashton Jackson. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys in terms of what's been going on throughout the week, in terms of injuries, who will be returning to the team, returning for this Washington game. We've had some setbacks in terms of potential Ceedee Revel Jr. because during the training camp and mini camp, I didn't see him in a boot. Now he's in a boot right now, and he has something around like a little knee brace around his leg. So that's something we got to talk about. DeMarvin Overshown and Josh Butler, they're out on the field on the cords working with the training staff, and the Dallas Cowboys did cut wide receiver Jonathan Cooper to potentially make room for people like Kalen Carson or Jonathan Mingo to activate them off the 21-day window. So we'll talk about all that and more after the intro. So before we hop into the video, I would appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and I'm also going to bring this in with DeMarvin Overshown as well, in terms of talking about Ceedee Revel Jr. As I put the graphic up right here, Ceedee Revel is rehabbing right now still. We don't really know when he's going to return. It was reported during the offseason, pretty much after the draft, that he would be readily available for us to activate him off the 21-day activation window, off the PUP list, I'm sorry, and have him going and potentially have him be part of this defense and try to make it better, right? And then we just had news sometime last week before the Carolina game that we're going to get DeMarvin Overshown back. Same thing. With those two players, we can't put, and I've seen this a lot in the community, and this front office has been the main catalyst for saying it. They said, oh, the defense will get better. We're going to have a lot of reinforcements coming back. Yes, you're going to get Josh Butler coming back. Yes, you're going to get Overshown. Yes, you're going to get Ceedee Revel Jr. You are going, yes, you're in fact correct. We are going to get players back. But don't think that you're going to rely on a rookie to come and save you in the secondary. Because when Ceedee Revel comes back, who are you taking off the field? Now, people are going to say, well, easily you're going to take off, one of your corners, but you're not going to, as we know the Dallas Cowboys, you're not going to pay somebody and have them not play. So, like in real life, somebody's not going to pay you to not work, right? So, same thing happens with the Dallas Cowboys and how they view the players. So, DaRon Bland, Trevon Diggs getting contracts, they're going to play. So, that means you're going to take off Reddy Stewart, put DaRon Bland in the slot, put Ceedee Revel Jr. on the outside. Who even says Ceedee Revel Jr. is even ready to play when he gets back? But he's definitely going to need time to maturate into that player that we saw coming out of college, right? So I would pump the brakes on a guy like DeMarvin Overshown and Ceedee Revel Jr. Yes, we've seen DeMarvin Overshown come back from 2 knee injuries. For sure, we saw the torn ACL. He comes back, has a really good season last year, and then he comes the next season and he tears everything in his knee. So again, when DeMarvin Overshown does come back, he's a super bionic type of guy, but I'm not going to be expecting him to come back and play and pick up right where he left off, because if he does, then the Dallas Cowboys need to sign him and try to find a way to make him healthy, or trying to find ways to make him stay healthy, right? So Ceedee Revel's in the boot. I just want to know, because this isn't the first time that stuff like this happens, right? Where we've heard guys would go so hard. We've heard about it a bunch of times with Dak Prescott. He'll go so hard during the rehab process that he'll re-aggravate something, or he'll have a different type of injury. So I'm just curious, as a person who doesn't have any connections within the building, I'm just kind of curious about how does that happen? How does it happen to where these guys are in the rehab process and they're rehabbing so hard that they aggravate another injury? I understand I don't have a fully concept of the human body in terms of yes, you have a knee injury, you do the necessary workouts and the things like that you need to make sure that your knee gets better. But how is that, you're working on your knee and then something with your foot happens? I understand, same part, all things connected, right? But just kind of curious about how, because this is the first time that this happens, right? Where I just said, players are rehabbing, they come back with a different type of injury. I just want to know, how does that even happen, But in some lighter news and some good news, the Dallas Cowboys, we are getting Ceedee Lamb and we are getting Tyler Booker back, which is, I'm super excited, and because We know how explosive that we need to be offensively, that we need to at least bare minimum score 30 points with the way how trash this defense has been playing so far through 7 weeks of the NFL season. So with having those guys back, we're going to be a lot more explosive. We're going to be able to run the ball a lot more aggressively because we're going to have a really good dynamic and a really good power physical guard next to Brock Hoffman and next to Terrence Steele, because Terrence Steele plays a lot better when he has someone reliable at the right guard position. And I think we're going to have overall better guard in Tyler Booker than what we have right now with TJ Bass. So, you know, something that I also did want to talk about, because I was in the wrong last week when I did the post-game show, and I was blaming the offense in terms of, you know, saying how, you know, outside of the defense playing trash and how they played, it was their fault for how, saying how it was the offense's fault for why we lost that game. Even though the Dallas Cowboys did have that one goofy drive, you know, like I said, I really can't. We can talk about how bad the defense is all day and night long, but the coordinators, the players, and like I said on that side of the ball, they have to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and understand that they just have to play better. So I understand we can keep blaming the defense because that's what's going to hold us back from us potentially having a pretty solid season. But, you know, I was in the wrong for sure last week saying how, you know, trying to put the blame on the offense because of that last drive. No, the defense has been costing the entire year, and I said that multiple times in multiple videos, but it was just super frustrating watching that game, knowing how well we played offensively and how well our quarterback has been playing the past this entire season. But for him to not even turn the ball over, and him throwing at least 3 touchdowns a game, and he's 1-1-1 in those 3 games, that is mind-boggling to me. And I seen Voch, and I seen a bunch of Voch is the main one. I heard him saying that, dude, if we're not the 63rd best defense, you know what I mean? If we're at least the 25th best defense, 26th best defense, we're contenders. We actually have a shot in this thing to have a run at the conference, have a run in the division, and potentially even have the opportunity to take the #1 spot in our division, have a home playoff game and things like that, right? So defense definitely has to get better. Yes, you're going to get players back, but I'm not banking on those players to come back and save your season, especially with the way that we configured this defense way before we got rid of number 11. The last thing we're going to talk about is that the Dallas Cowboys did cut Jalen Marino-Cropper to potentially make room for either cornerback Kalen Carson or wide receiver Jonathan Mingo. You would guess that when they did take off a wide receiver, they want to add another wide receiver to this thing. But remember, we didn't put Kevontae Turpin on IR, so we don't have to make room for him. So now you go back, you look at the wide receiver room, you get Ceedee back, you have George Pickens, Ryan Flournoy, and then you're going to have Kevontae Turpin. So then you're going to add another wide receiver, possibly going to be Jonathan Mingo. So, you know, I like the way and then I can't forget, you got, I did forget, but Jalen Tolbert is another one, so that'd be 6 wide receivers. So we're going to get that probably back. But I just want to see what Kalen Carson can potentially look like in the secondary. And then I also want to know what can Jonathan Mingo bring, because the Dallas Cowboys did spend a 4th-round pick on this player. So I want to see the return on the investment, and I want to see what does he potentially look like. I think we're going to get more of a clue what Jonathan Mingo is going to look like towards probably the second half of this season, and for sure next season, because Jalen Tolbert is in his last year of his contract, and more than likely the Dallas Cowboys are not going to keep him around. So, you know, those are things that we're talking about in today's video. So Overshown Revel's back in the boot. Prayerfully, it's nothing too serious. Ceedee Lamb and Tyler Booker are coming back, so your offense is going to get more explosive and more stronger. And then DeMarvin Overshown and Josh Butler, they're going to be on the practice field and working on the cords. And the Dallas Cowboys did cut Jalen Marino-Cropper to potentially make room. Players like either Kalen Carson or Jonathan Mingo. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.